some good news on the job front today. While the unemployment rate is touching a new record level at more than 13%, we are also getting the first glimmer of signs of a recovery. After losing more than 3 million jobs in March and April, Canada's economy added 290,000 jobs in May. That means the economy has now replaced about 10% of the jobs lost to COVID-19. So, what will that mean for the government programs built to help people to weather the economic storm? Carla Qualtrough is the Minister of Employment, Workforce Development and Disability Inclusion. She joins me from Ottawa. Hello, Minister.
Hi there.
Now, there was some unexpected, relatively good news in today's labour force survey. Nearly 300,000 people who found jobs. I wonder, does that make you less inclined to extend the CERB, the Emergency Response Benefit?
You know, it's a really important question, and I think the jobs numbers today should give us hope. I think that we weren't expecting jobs to be created. We were expecting less jobs to be lost, but it was a treat to learn that we had created jobs. But the reality is we still have the highest unemployment rate in the history of our country. It went up because while 290,000 jobs were created, 490,000 people entered the labor force. So we still went down in terms of people. And, you know, it makes me think that we're on the right track, that even when the CERB was available, people were taking jobs as jobs became available. But it makes me think that we still need to continue to support Canadians at this time through this crisis.
I've heard you say that on a few occasions. I did speak to a single mother of two today who lost her job. Now, she didn't want her name used. We're not going to play a clip of her or anything like that. But I was speaking to her. She wrote to us because she was saying she is so anxious to know what is happening with CERB. So you keep saying, we're going to be there for you. You know, Canadians shouldn't worry, but that is exactly how she feels. So I wonder if you can be a bit more explicit for her and for people like her who are about to make their application for their fourth payment. They are worried the money is going to run out.
So certainly as next week becomes the last 4-week period for many people, in early July, that means around 5.6, 5.7 million people will run out of their CERB entitlement. That's on my mind constantly. And we're in the process as we work through the next phase of the wage subsidy and what will come next for CERB. I can guarantee to Canadians that there will be support there for them. I don't know the exact form of that support, and hopefully within a week or so we'll be able to lay out our plan, not just for the immediate kind of month or so, but really to give Canadians the confidence that you're speaking about, because it is very uncertain. You know, it feels so long ago, but it's been 12 weeks that people have been on the CERB, and I think they have a right to know what comes next.
You say you can guarantee there's going to be some form of support. I think people might be concerned whether or not that support, I assume you mean money, is going to be more challenging to access. Is that a possibility? Do people have to worry that they're not going to be able to get those payments? That for some people it may become harder?
I don't think people should think that. I think that we're looking at some of the criticisms of the program, which, you know, we put in place the program when we asked people to stop working and stay at home. And now we're asking people if they feel safe and if there's jobs available to go back to work. And so we're trying to make modifications or design a system that is a little more able to nimbly kind of allow people to work or take their jobs, and also recognizing that a lot of people aren't working because their jobs aren't there. They've got childcare responsibilities. They're ill. They're taking care of someone who's sick. There's a lot of different circumstances we're trying to accommodate in one benefit.
Now, you talk about the various circumstances, and we're talking about the labor force survey. Another piece of information that was essentially reaffirmed in the figures today was that women are experiencing this a lot differently than past economic downturns. And in fact, the numbers today show that men are going back to their jobs more quickly than women are. Your government is one that has talked a lot about feminism, being feminist. What are you going to try to do to ensure that, for instance, those service sector jobs that so many women have that may not be there to come back to, what are you going to do to ensure that women also have jobs to go back to?
Yeah, very important conversation. You know, only 29% of the new jobs that were created last month are being women are in those jobs. So that means that's not reflective of the demographic, and it's very concerning as we move forward. You know, this pandemic has been. I've heard people say, you know, women are on the front lines and women have been sidelined at the same time in this pandemic. You know, women are in the most difficult, unsafe jobs, taking care of our loved ones, and at the same time, we're the most precariously employed before, have lost their job and have been sidelined because of childcare responsibilities. So I know we're all very committed to ensure as we move forward that the unique situations and circumstances of women are indeed not only just considered, but actually really reflected unapologetically in the way we move forward.
I want to talk about the, obviously there are a lot of questions about how that's going to work, but I think it's important also to touch on the announcement that you made today about new money to help Canadians living with disabilities. Not only has it taken some time for this money to roll out, we're, some 90 days into this pandemic, but on top of that, there are questions about how many people it's going to reach. If I understand correctly, 1.2 million Canadians claim the disability tax credit, right, which is your criteria for getting this. But Statistics Canada says more than 6 million Canadians live with disabilities across the country. So are you helping enough people?
Well, you know, we're trying to help as many people as we can. And part of the challenge as we've, and I guess, let me start by saying this is not in any way the first time we've turned our minds to helping people with disability in this crisis. From the very beginning, disability inclusion has been at the center of the way I certainly have approached this, and certainly Cabinet as well. You know, the reality is disability supports, for the most part, are a provincial jurisdiction. And as we've rolling out the CERB and the student benefit and the GST and the seniors benefit, we've had easier mechanisms at our disposal to deliver for those specific populations. So in the federal realm, the disability tax credit is the most expansive grouping of citizens with disabilities. It also includes children with disabilities, which was very important to me. So if a parent claims a DTC for their child with a disability, that family will get the money. And that's about 192,000 children and 177,000 families. So that was really important to me that we were able to cover that population as well. You know, we're talking with the provinces. We wanted to make sure we complemented the provinces and what they were doing. Many of them are providing extra supports for people on disability supports provincially. So it was my opinion that we needed to really make sure we covered the broadest amount of people in the federal realm, I guess I would say, but certainly recognizing that, no, we're not covering everybody. That concerns me. This is a $550 million investment, so it's not insignificant, but I'm always going to be looking at ways to help more people, and as we move forward, certainly open to having those conversations.
Okay, you talk about provincial jurisdiction, and before we let you go, I do want to touch on the other big announcement today, which was the Prime Minister saying that there is this $14 billion available for provinces and territories to reopen safely. We know that that includes money for sick leave. What I think is less clear, perhaps to me, but certainly to some of the people I've been speaking to in the provinces, is there's a long list of things, I think about 8 things that are included under that $14 billion umbrella. So do provinces get to pick and choose? Can they say, I don't want to be a part of this sick leave program, I'd rather spend that money on PPE or childcare? Is it optional?
Well, I think, you know, part of the approach taken by the Prime Minister last night with the premiers was, you know, putting $14 billion, which is, again, a lot of money on the table in areas that we think are priority areas for a healthy and safe recovery, economic recovery, was that, I mean, we're going to be able to build flexibility into different provincial allocations based on, you know, where their particular circumstances are economically, demographically, with the outbreaks, what have you. It's going to look very different. Sick leave is a very difficult nut to crack. There's a couple of ways that you could go about providing those 10 days. We're looking at, you know, working with provinces, doing it through another version of the CERB. There's a number of different options at our disposal. And again, wanting to work with provinces, not coming in with a decided upon way forward is really, we want to tackle sick leave. Here's some of the options for us. What do you guys think?
And now what I'm not clear on, though, in what you're saying, you're talking about flexibility. Are you saying flexibility in how a province offers sick leave, or flexibility in whether they offer sick leave.
No. I mean, we are definitely going to provide 10 days of sick leave for every Canadian, COVID-related sick leave. And so
provinces
right now,
can't opt out. That's not an option.
No. The only thing at play is the how, not the if or the what. In working with provinces and we have federal labor codes and provincial labor codes. We have the possibility of a direct payment from the federal government. It's really, with business communities are worrying about their capacity to pay for sick leave. It's really understanding that this is primarily a provincial jurisdiction, especially when you consider 90% of businesses are within provincial jurisdiction, that they have skin in this game on how it's delivered and the best way forward. We're going to do it. We want to partner with them to do it. And the best way we think is collaborating with them from the beginning. Understanding that we're going in with some ideas, and certainly people have, to your point, told us some options, but nothing is written in stone whatsoever.
Doug Ford said today he would rather address the long-term care situation in his province than spend that money on sick leave. So you're saying to him that that's not the way it works?
Well, I'm not saying that we're not also going to tackle long-term care. What I'm saying is we are going to tackle sick leave, and provincial opinions and priorities will play into, quite frankly, how it's tackled. If provinces have less interest in doing it, that could lend itself to a more federal delivery model. But that's why we have these conversations, because you don't know where you're going to end up when you start the conversation. But like I say, this isn't a matter of what, it's a matter of how.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time today, Minister Qualtrough.
Excellent. Take care.